3v3s are always like, anybody could win this round.
Good stuff. Well, that's going to go over our top 2 most played maps here at Flashpoint. We are going to go to a break because we have tons to talk about, so we can delay the game, make you guys wait, shiver with anticipation even more as we talk about G2 and Mouse Sports in a couple minutes.
Flashpoint. Mouse Sports. Welcome to Flashpoint, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at the B stream for the final day with myself and Hawker and Alan. We are going to head into the best of 3 that is coming up here. It will be between Complexity and Sprout, and I very much look forward to it. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening? Alan, you look nice and refreshed today.
I do have had a good rest, Anders, after a couple long nights, but this time around only the first game. So unless it's a true marathon, we should be done in good order, and we can go back to the A stream and watch some good games over there when this one finishes.
Oh yeah, that'll be very exciting for sure. Hawker, I'm seeing sunshine in the background, so you're forced. One of the few days in the UK where it's actually sun's out. You're in sun. How's that?
I know, it's actually been raining like the last week too, and now as soon as we're casting Counter-Strike, it comes back to the sun. But I ain't complaining because Complexity are back and they're looking good, which is what I was hoping to see.
That is a very good point, and something that we should, linger on for a little bit, because they had that amazing bounce back down here, and it really much improved from day 1 of the B stream to day 2, and now day 3. Hopefully, they can continue. They are a very exciting team, and I mean, playing Sprout, I think I've been really impressed with Sprout. They look like a resilient team. But the lineup here that we are seeing for Complexity, who's really been standing out in your mind, Alan, for now?
I think JKS actually has had a really good few days, despite, of course, we've known he's had some problems in terms of being integrated into this lineup. At least in this tournament alone, him individually has looked very good, even when the team has been overall a little inconsistent. I think Poison has looked pretty great as well in some of the games. I think the players need to look for a little bit more might be Blame F and Config. We need those kind of high caliber rifles to really be punching in the numbers, have a good overall level of the team, and then really, firing on all cylinders.
It's been really enjoyable to watch for sure. I mean, if you're a fan of Complexity, that's got to be the hope that it is that JKS will really slot into the team in a perfect way. Hawker, how about you? Any particular figures that are standing out at the moment for you on the team?
Yeah, I think somewhat similar to Alan, I'm still hoping that we can get a bit more out of that. I think Config, especially for this series, I think he's got a really good chance of doing a lot of work here against Sprout, because I think just skill-wise, he should be able to out-aim a lot of these Sprout players. But yeah, all in all, I think I've been happy with JKS especially. He's been the player that we've been wanting to see this level from, and I think we're starting to get to the point where he's showing up. Now it's maybe just making sure some of the other pieces are performing as well as we know they can.
Well, I think that's a good reason to believe that they will have to do fairly well up against Sprout, who also are fielding, I think, a really competitive lineup right now. Obviously, some of the names that were thrown at the beginning, Favin, I think he's lived up to the hype, and then some even, which is quite impressive all on its own. But outside of him, Alan, who should we be looking out for here at the Sprout lineup?
I think Crazy's had a really kind of under-the-radar great tournament, especially considering his kind of experience level. So to punch in those sort of numbers against some of the competition the Sprout team has been playing is really, really sensational. I think yesterday, actually, Dennis had a really great day. And obviously, he's a player we look at sometimes and say, he's not here for the uber mechanics. He's here to be a more experienced player, round out the squad, maybe be a more vocal player. But yesterday, he was on fire, tearing open bomb sites on Dust 2, I think it was. So Dennis, he had a great day yesterday, and hopefully we can see a bit more consistency from him over the rest of the games moving forwards.
That is definitely true. Yeah, Dennis, I forgot about that, which is a little bit unfair. So, yeah, he was playing just a very, very nice game, I have to agree. Hawker, what's been your experience so far in watching Sprout? Were you expecting them to be this much of a resilient team and this much of a force, or have they surprised you a little bit?
I think they've surprised me. I think I've been impressed by how quickly some of these players seem to have adapted to this level. Like we were talking about earlier, I don't think Slacks has been outstanding, but he's been landing shots on the AWP. He's oftentimes just been sitting back and kind of playing standard spots, but doing so competently, which is already a good sign going forwards. And then like Alan said, Cressy doesn't really get a lot of the spots where you're maybe expecting him to frag out, but every now and then you will see one of those rounds where you can see a lot of promise. So for me, it really is about, you've got Dennis and Spiddy, that's the core of the experience of the team. Now you're just trying to see if you can develop these further players, and there's definitely positive signs going forwards.
Well, from memory, I feel like Sprout have been allowed so far to play a lot of the maps that they actually kind of want to play. I'm wondering about the veto here. Is there a chance that they're going to be pushed into some weird territory against Complexity? The veto should be coming up. So Alan, what do you think about this? Are we finally going to see them not necessarily on home ground here?
I think we're going to see both teams on reasonably stable ground, to put it that way. I think Sprout, the permaban of Overpass is going to come out, and then for Complexity, the permaban of Train. There it is, going into the veto initially. So that's for certain. The question, of course, as always, seems to be the picks. Now, Complexity, they picked Mirage yesterday. They look much more comfortable on it than Vertigo, which was their pick against FPX. So I'm expecting a Mirage pick to come through for them. The Sprout one is the really tricky pick to place. I think they're going to pick Dust 2. It's what they picked into FPX. They look pretty good on it, and they surprised me and probably you guys as well when they played that game. So I think a Dust 2 pick will come out here, and it's not a map that Complexity likes as much. So see that pick come in. It is Dust 2, so it's all going right so far. I think the third map could be a nuke, but what do you make of these ones, Hawker? It looks like a good game already with these maps to open it up.
Yeah, I think so. I think those picks make a good bit of sense. As you said, Complexity going for a good bit of comfort. Sprout also play so much Dust 2. They have 28 maps of it played in the last 3 months, which is a really high amount. And they've won it the 3 times they've played it at Flashpoint against really good competition. They're all close wins, but they're good wins. And then we get Vertigo as that decider, which Complexity have definitely been trying to play a lot of recently. But we've seen Sprout kind of get some scrappy games themselves on that map.
Really interesting. I feel like Vertigo is making its way into so many best of threes these days, which is. I mean, I still feel like I've got an open mind about the maps right now. At Dust 2, definitely very. I even if Complexity don't like to play nearly as much, I can't help but think it still seems like potentially a dangerous pick because you're up against people like Config and Poison. If those guys have a good aim day, even if they are not like, necessarily the best map that they could play, it still seems like that could be scary. So I'm maybe a little bit worried about that. I don't know, Alan, is that a concern you would have if you're a Sprout here, or would you just be trusting in your own map here?
Perhaps. I have to say, if you look back at the qualifier and these two teams played, exactly the same maps. Same maps pick. Third map was Vertigo. In that series, both the picks went the way of the respective teams. And then on Vertigo, Complexity looked a little bit stronger. So if you want to take that viewpoint into regard, we should be looking for a Complexity win here. But I think both teams are going to be comfortable on all 3 of the maps. So whatever happens, Anders, we should see a good series out of this one.
Well, I very much look forward to it. The odds for the series, as you can tell, heavily favoring Complexity. Which I guess that makes sort of sense. Again, there is always that brand power behind it, and they have been looking much improved. So I don't really know. Hawk, do you think does it look reasonable from a betting point of view?
I think that makes a fair bit of sense, especially when you see Vertigo as that decider. I do think that's a map Complexity I like to pick sometimes. I think they probably are slightly happier with this veto, in my opinion, especially because, like you said, they definitely always have that puncher's chance on Dust 2. So I think it makes sense, and especially considering the performance of Complexity yesterday, I think they should be pretty solid favorites.
Well, Alan, before we leave you, what's something that we can look forward to here on Mirage? From either Complexity or Sprout, is there anything that, if someone was stumbling into this for the first time, not really sure what they were going to do, what's a cool little thing that they could look out for themselves here for either one of these teams?
I think Complexity's calling on T side last time we saw them on Mirage was very impressive. So if you're an average viewer watching them, just look round to round at the differences, particularly how many players are they sending mid, what time of the round are they going for that control, and how they kind of alternate that between the rounds to make those really hard to read. So that was my favorite aspect of seeing them on Mirage. I think it was yesterday, and certainly they looked a very different team to what we saw against FPX. So hopefully a good Complexity shows up on Mirage and they can show us why they are really brilliant on that T side.
Well, that is fantastic. We'll definitely look forward to it. Thank you so much, Alan, and we'll catch up with you after the map. So, heading into it, though, it's going to be on Mirage for the first one. And Hawker, we're going to be on this ride together. The last couple of days have been really crazy with the Counter-Strike, and I'm assuming it'll be something similar here. So, once we're into it, I really thought it was cool to see Complexity pick this map and then actually show up and actually do a good job. We talked to Config after the game yesterday, and he was in pretty good spirits and seemed like they were headed in the right direction. So, are you on the side of Complexity here? Do you think they're going to take this first map, or do you think Sprout will have some secret weapon that we don't know about?
I've got to go with Complexity, especially because I was actually looking at Config's stats and the teams he's playing against for the last 12 months, and he has by far his best average rating against Sprout, actually. He had a crazy series against them in the qualifier. I think he actually dropped 30 on every map when they played in the qualifier, which was ridiculous. So that's what I'm hoping for. I really think Config can have a good skill edge against quite a few of these Sprout players, and Mirage is definitely a map that he likes to play. So let's see if Complexity can show up early.
Yeah, that's a bad sign for sure if you're on the Sprout side, unless you can find a way to shut him down. We're gonna be heading into it right now with Sprout on the CT side, Complexity on the T side, and it looks like it's gonna be some sort of an A crunch coming through, 3 from middle, and they're not gonna be slowing down. I think they've already put out the initial smokes, one over behind them or towards the B bomb side, so they can make this run without getting shot in the back. And here we go, JKS and Poison and Russian. That's it. Slacks, I don't think he can do anything from here. Even if he gets a kill, what will it even matter? It's Speedy going down next, and Slacks, just wait. Oh no, go for the ninja, surely, even if it's 10 seconds. I don't think there's anything to do at this point. What a knockout in the pistol.
Just so quick on the Complexity side. And I think Alan rightfully pointed out that the mix of pace and the mix of styles that Complexity have on this map. I always say I think Mirage is a map where you can go for very different rounds, and you can have a lot of options on it for going for set plays. You can go for fast plays through mid. You can go for slower rounds. And right from the get-go, Complexity have set the pace early with a very quick round win.
Yeah, that was just a out of the spawn call, instant follow-through. Everything that we like to see. And I think actually, unfortunately for Sprout, they were also set up in a way so that they would have discovered that push so late. Basically, when someone, I think, in Sandwich or towards CT spawn went down, that was around the time when they realized, oh, wait, this is all gone wrong. So, yeah, in a slightly different world, if Sprout were in the middle in that pistol round, I really just one person looking, they maybe could have had some advanced warning. But, you can't do anything about that. So, on to the next round, which they also pretty much just get completely steamrolled, which is not that uncommon. So, yeah, quick 2-0 here for Complexity off the bat, but we'll see if they can bring something more. We still got Farven with the deal. That's always exciting.
Yeah, he's had some exciting rounds, some explosive rounds with that Deeg. I'd just be saving it for the next one this time round. I definitely get the feeling here, early into this game, that Sprout are going to have to earn their respect from Complexity, because that was 2 back-to-back really quick rounds. This time, Config landed a couple of great headshots with that AK on that fast push in through short. I almost feel like from the Sprout side, it might actually be that double up setup that has to come through for them. Because if Complexity are going to keep going this quick, then that could be a good counter. Poison dying to the bomb is slightly strange, but I guess it's all good.
Just wanted to stay close, I suppose. Maybe trying to find that sweet spot between dying but still getting a little bit of warmth from the explosion, Could be something like that. Yeah, heading into the third round, it's just going to be the deals, still anything like that to try and do some damage. Probably won't be that significant, although they are showing up in the middle, which is fun. They're doing a little bit of a double boost into the ladder room. Getting caught, though, by the MAC-10. Complexity are really... They're sort of grouped up in middle, but they are really quick to try and take these fights. Not really slowing down much of anything. I like this kind of energy. There's a certain power behind what they're doing here.
Config especially is just constantly running up short and trying to fight them. And that is a scary prospect as this game goes on. Maybe it's just because he knows Sprout had the weaker weapons in that one, but I guess we're about to find out because the gun round will be coming through. And if you haven't seen Sprout before, something to be aware of is that they love those scope weapons, whether it be the AUGs or the AWPs. We've seen them rock those scope rifles all tournament long.
It's true. I feel like it's becoming almost like a branding situation now, where I haven't seen a team go this heavy on the AUGs for a while. There's individual players that'll pick them up every once in a while, but there seems to be really something that they favor, and it's really working out for them. So I'm happy to see it. Dennis, nice little angle there, but not going to get the kill that he wanted. Down on the low ground. He actually does take down Config. That's not bad at all, but unfortunately, Speedy is still kind of zoned out. He can't escape. He's just wedged up against the wall, and Blamev is able to catch any rotations, which, even if not that, just being able to catch them as they fall back, this position suddenly could be converted into a huge problem for Sprout.
This is such a nice spot to be in. You're right. I don't think they'll expect him to be here, certainly not so soon. As for Complexity, though, another quick round. Again, just going straight into the B site this time. I was actually slightly surprised to see Config going in as that first man and then Rush being the second man into trade, but it worked out really nicely. He got those 2 fast kills with the coL, and that's all he needed to win his team the round. Question for Sprout is, can they save these 3 guns? They could really do with holding on to all of them to keep that money good for the next one, and that kill from Favin should secure the save and an opportunity to keep that money strong and keep rifles into this next.
I mean, well done, Sprout. I actually thought Blameth was going to get so much done from that position, but they somehow managed to make it work anyway. So that's really important. Yeah, I think just to add to that point, if you're defending that B bomb site, the best kind of defense is obviously one where they don't actually exit the B hallway on the T side and just get stopped up there. But once they're down and out, yeah, it does. The problems sort of tend to multiply pretty quickly. And I guess if you're a Complexity and you wanted to go for that kind of a fast B push, a round like this where you notice the first buy round and they're probably not going to have all of the Molotovs and HEs, it's not a bad round to pick that kind of a strategy in, because later on, if they have a lot of money, Sprout, they're probably going to be throwing preemptive Molotovs or smokes or stuff like that. So, yeah, not a bad choice, I would say. But 4-0 for Complexity. They're off to a really fine start so far.
I think the other nice thing is, you know it's unlikely there's a double AWP setup. And oftentimes when there is that double AWP setup on Mirage, that secondary AWP will just get boosted into the B apartments and you can maybe lose some players early. So yeah, nice time to pick that B rush out. And now finally we get a slightly slower round from Complexity. Back to that mid control, which we saw them taking a lot in their previous Mirage game.
Yeah, this is definitely a good point. And we haven't, I think, seen many CT sides so far on this Mirage map here on the B stream where we've seen them really try and aggressively fight for middle or just generally try and push for a lot of information. I feel like all of the CT sides almost have all been sort of very, very conservative on that front. So let's see, it could be dangerous. Russian Blameth with a big opening. Slacks is going to take 1 kill, but seeking for the smoke on the A ramp as well is JKS. He's not that far away from getting there. They're bringing the bomb onto the site as well. They need to find a way to slow this down. Oh, what a shot. Blameth saving his teammate planting the bomb, and it leaves Slacks on his own in a 1 versus 3. And he is so flashed. He's actually out of there, but how is he still alive? I don't even know. Is Config just observing him? I feel like he could see him for like 5 seconds. I don't know what's happening.
When Config does pull the trigger, though, he's been getting headshots all day long in these first 5 rounds.
Yep.
Really fast on those headshots, really fast with that AK. And for Sprout, it felt to me like positionally they didn't do too much wrong there. They even had Spitty pushing through that smoke to deny the bomb plant, which seemed pretty decent. It's just right now, none of the fights are really going their way.
Yeah, but I think what's one thing to maybe point out. Oh, wait a minute. Hold the phone. Speedy, that's brilliant. Another kill to come in, taking down 2 with the Deagle. That is so well done. Now, they are going to try and Molotov him back a little bit and keep him out of the fight for a minute. And unfortunately, Dennis getting caught by Blameth there. Could still be a very tough round to get a lot done in here, even if Speedy did so much work. Man, I was about to say, though, that last round could also be a symptom of what happens when you do give the T side a lot of mid control. Because I think that's the power of Complexity right now. They seem very confident once they have mid. So maybe Scrap will have to try and deal with that at some point. Ooh.
It's just all headshots. This is when I was playing a couple of open qualifiers for fun with my friends, and we got drawn against like LDLC and some actual semi-pro teams. And that is the big difference you notice, is it's just first bullet headshots almost every time. Like there's almost no point in spraying for the body, it feels like, because the pros are just so quick at getting those headshots.
There certainly are some people that are just, I don't know, I mean, I think I've just been so badly tainted by my experiences in 1.6 where, you know, I would say spraying wasn't necessarily evolved to the level that it's been in CSGO. I feel like on both fronts, probably everyone's just way better or across the board, but there are some people in CSGO that it feels to me like they've really elevated spraying to an art form, and I still think that's really impressive too. So, but I always do appreciate the one taps. I think that's just something really nice about that. So, I don't know. Which style do you generally aim for yourself? Do you try and perfect one or the other, or just everything?
I mean, I'm definitely not good enough to be perfecting any style, to be blunt with you. But I try and go for more headshots, I think. You know,
Right.
Funnily enough, So this is something I tell everyone I cast with, okay? I was using the SG when I first started playing CS back in like 2014, 2015, because my friends told me that that was the gun that everyone used. So I like put loads of time into learning the SG. And they thought it was really funny because they thought they pranked me and made me use this rubbish gun. And then I was just using the OP gun the whole time, and I was still trash at the game. So I guess that says more about me than anyone else.
Maybe. I like that. I think good job on your friends for that's an interesting prank. They should have picked like the Negev. What if you had become like the ultimate Negev player and just that was like
Imagine.
I actually feel like that would be worth putting time into, just becoming so good with it for no reason at all. Blamef goes down. We're talking about mid control, and Config is next. Farvan even coming in with a kill on Poison. So that is very good. And they had like a three-way fight going into the middle there, Sprout. Only two of them actually got into the fight. Slacks was showing up on Catwalk. We see him here with the AWP. But yeah, ultimately, they had a way to try and take that fight. So I really enjoy that. Slacks, I don't know. Probably should have just been a kill right then. But regardless, the main portion of this is already successful. So well done, Sprout.
For whatever reason, whenever Sprout switch it up and buy this double AWP setup, it just seems to get them around. Even if it's not the AWPs doing the heavy lifting, it feels like it works for them pretty much every time. Maybe they just need to save for that double AWP from the get-go. Who knows? Because they are about to get their first round on the board, unless JKS can do something stupendous.
I don't know. I can't even imagine how many dominoes would have to fall before this would actually turn out in his favor. It's too much. Too much to ask for, really. But even if you can't win the rounds, usually you can accomplish a lot of other things, like, you know, maybe primarily economic damage, which that didn't really work out either. So they're going to be really happy about this Sprout. They've got 2 AKs, they've got an AUG, they've got 2 AWPs. A lot of money on the complexity side, so they're going to be able to buy in this round, and, you know, Blamef had a pretty sizable bank. So 6-1, though. I mean, yeah, Sprout, I think not too late for them to make a comeback into the first half. But we're not that far off it becoming a little bit painful here, so gotta keep up this fight. And I like this. Look at the aggression. Farvan's here, and JKS goes right down. I really like it. Good job on Sprout for trying to keep this up and not just defaulting into a more passive setup.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's some good awareness, because Complexity like to go for this A execute quite a few times a half, and they haven't thrown it in yet. So I like pushing into Palace, where you know if they are lining up those smokes, you might be able to get a fair fight. Now you've got a man advantage as the push comes into A.
Oh, Cressy gonna be found. Trying to play at the edge of the smoke. See if they can get the bomb plant down while these smokes are actually up. Farvan does not really want to go for it. I don't know if he's seen anything. Not just yet. There it is. Taking down Config. And that was a very important kill. Now, there are no more nades left on the complexity side. So, yes, they have the bomb plant. But if the A bomb side, it can absolutely be retaken. And look at the amount of nades on the Sprout side. I think they got a really good shot at doing this. Deep nade. Speedy drops to Poison, though. That's a bit of a problem. And Poison's going to keep on pushing. He takes Dennis as well. Doesn't get the flick on top, but now it's back into a 2-on-2, and never mind that. Rush with a great headshot, and Farvan, he can't do this. He's going to have to give this one up. He could try and do some damage, but even that will fail. Rush coming in with a big double kill, and Complexity back to winning again.
I think that's a nice round to show the difference between the two AWPers in this series for me. I just think Poison's going to have more of an ability to make big plays like that, to have a couple of flashy moments where when he overperforms like that from the site, it really makes a huge difference in winning them the round. And while I think Slaps is a competent AWPer, I haven't seen that same sort of ability from him. And I think you need that every now and then. You need your AWPer to just come in a post plant and just take some fights. Works really well for Complexity there. And Dennis is in a great spot on the flank.
He is with the M4. Oh, making a bit of noise. Actually, JKS heard that, but it doesn't even matter. Speedy standing tall with the AUG. And what a headshot. And he keeps going, taking down Poison as well. What a fantastic round out of Speedy. Leading the team, but also top fragging right now on that side. And they'll bring down Blamef last. That was so important. I like the initiative from Sprout. Dennis pushing up there, even if he's traded. I just think this is Sprout really showing us they're not just going to roll over and accept the fact that Complexity are clearly very good on this map. They're going to try and see if they can push them out of their own comfort zone and make this a bit more of a fight. I really enjoy it, and Speedy showing up in a big way.
Absolutely. That was a really important round for me to see Sprout winning, because I think now Complexity have got to respect them a bit more. Now that Complexity is starting to run low on cash, you might see them slow down slightly. You might not see all these fast plays where it almost just feels like they just think they're better individually. I think you've earned that respect, and Slax is certainly trying to earn some respect of his own in this round. He's got the first kill. He's looking for more.
And look at how many of them are towards the middle here. There's essentially 4 people fighting for the middle right now on the Sprout side. Really trying to deny that control for Complexity. Config is going to be found. Trying to play a little bit of hide and seek, but it's going to be 3 versus 5. And they don't really have any nades here. And you normally need some smokes to get onto that A bomb site. I guess they had 1 left that's gone down towards CT spawn, but this will be very tricky. Faven will find that kill, no problem.
No nades left whatsoever now for Complexity. So it is all about finding some fights, finding some headshots. I like the idea of trying to maybe cut the noise, slow it down, and see if Sprout rotate away, but Sprout aren't falling for it. They've seen them, and they've got so many players near this A site.
Oh, there's a cheeky boost up there, but I think he had to just jump into view of Cressy, who managed to get a little double kill there. So a third of round. I really think Sprout should be commended for sort of staying creative and actually bringing the fight to Complexity. They've actually depleted all of their cash as well, so they have a real shot here, Sprout, at getting something more to it. This is really encouraging. I see so many teams play, especially Mirage, and when they run into the kind of trouble that Sprout did in the beginning of this half, they never even try to find a way out. They just sort of, it's like they just keep running the same default almost over and over again, and like you can tell the difference in how Sprout was playing the first 5 rounds, and then now a little bit later, it's way more active, way more sort of trying to look for the fights in the middle and stop Complexity from having that map control. It's really cool.
I think that's really important nowadays. Yeah, switching CT setups and shifting those CT setups every now and then. Actually, that's something that people in matchmaking don't do anywhere near enough. Like every now and then, just throw in a three-man stack somewhere. Throw in a bunch of players towards the same position. It can make it so much harder to read. It shows much more resistance. So, yeah, nice stuff from Sprout, and Spitty has to be a little careful here. Only up against the pistols, but you don't want to go down without a fight on that B site.
No, especially not when you're holding it on your own like that. I mean, the backup is coming in now, so if you went down at this point, at least they could probably recover the bomb site and they would be fine. They've read this. They kind of feel like that B push is coming. So, good call out of Spitty right now. He's got the exact right idea, and he's got the headshots to follow it up. I mean, he's playing a great game at the moment. I'm really impressed. Dennis and Slacks will show up to help out a little bit. JKS, not quite the deagle there. And he's not going to get anything for it. So another round now being picked up. It's 4-7. But Sprout have really started to wake up a little bit here. And I've got to say, I think Speedy's making some really good calls right now.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's shown a good ability to adapt early into this game. That double AWP setup will continue for Sprout. They've built up plenty of cash to keep that going for a couple of rounds at this point. It is back to the AKs for Complexity. No AWP, but that's not going to stop them from showing some presence towards mid early. They've got to make sure they've got some good nades to counter that AWP of Faven, though, and the flashes will allow them to get out mid early.
Still, right around 3 people are about to show up from the middle here for Sprout, so see how long they want to stick around for. Faven is waiting. I mean, that's a bold play. He was just standing inside of the smoke.
Look at this from Sprout. They're leaving B wide open. Okay,
then. Well, I guess you can do that. They are starting to walk back. I don't know if they heard or saw some sort of a sign that we just didn't catch that made them think that it was some sort of imminent threat, but they got Dennis back there. Certainly interesting. Cressy's going to be going down, unfortunately. That was in the mid-connector leading into the A-bomb site. Dennis, pretty good headshot to take down Config. Always a nice fight to win. He's going to put in a grenade, but yeah, 3 of them are coming through. Grenade doesn't really do that much, and Dennis actually in a little bit of trouble here, but he's going to take down Rush, and now he's buying some time. He nearly drops JKS. That would have been the kill, probably to seal the round. Speedy showing up, and he's preemptively trying to transfer that spray onto the next target. It's still a 2-on-3, and they've got a good chance here, although BlameF will get a kill, and Farvin goes down, and I take it all back. 1 versus 2 now.
Oh, it was looking so good, but Complexity can come through with kills like that and suddenly turn the round in their favor. Slax has nades, but he doesn't want to use them. He doesn't want to give away his position as he goes in for this retake. And he's got to be ready for a close range fight. No scope, not even needed. He scopes in for the first kill and now switches out to the AK. But BlameF is playing this so patiently. A smoke to the bomb, and BlameF may have to spray into it, but he seems aware. Finally puts a couple of bullets through, but the time is against Slax. I don't know if he can even do this at this point. He wants to kill, but BlameF is buying so much time, and there's no way for Slax to win it. BlameF wins the round just by surviving.
Yeah, really well done. I think he would have heard the defuse there, and the fact that he didn't hear that, it just meant BlameF wasn't even under any real pressure to try and shoot through the smoke initially. So really, I mean, that's a... I don't even want to say it's a giveaway, but it's a round that Sprout absolutely could have won. And Complexity just managed to find a way out there. BlameF coming in from the catwalk a little bit later in the actual assault onto the A-bombs, or the B-bomb site. And that just worked. That just worked really well. So, 8-4. And that's a nice flash, and Config just being thrown into the middle to take down Farvin. That's upsetting.
It's so cool when you flash from A ramp into mid too, because now Sprout think mid is being heavily contested. They're rotating their A players over to mid, but A is wide open, and Poison's made the most of that with another kill and an easy bomb plant.
A pretty good position to be in right here. 4 versus 3. Sprout not even really thinking about going for it. I mean, they don't have that much cash either, at least on some of their players, so... Giving away these rifles in an attempted retake, probably not really worth it at the end of the day. There's some simple wins here. I mean, the flash and AK into middle is not necessarily that complicated. It just worked really well. So they're going to be picking up a 9th round. How do you feel about that? I mean, 9 rounds on the T side of Mirage, that's got to be considered a pretty decent win.
Yeah, I think you're happy with this right now. Chance to get a couple more at the end here too. I mean, sure that there was a bit of a slowdown towards the middle of the half. Maybe with such a strong start, you would have loved to just completely overtake your opponents. But I don't think you can complain too much. You know, it was a pretty good adaptation period from Sprout. I don't think Complexity have lost any rounds that were really big mistakes or really silly rounds to lose. So sometimes your opponents are just going to get the better of you. I think you're happy with where you are right now if you're coL.
Well, double AWP is still in play, and they got the AUG as well. Oh, Slacks. That looked like that flick was about to connect right away. Certainly the kind of shot we've seen him hit before. Oh
God.
I think it might have been a little bit of team damage. They almost bumped into each other. Got to be real careful with that. But they got the kill on Config anyway, so far so good.
Didn't look like Complexity were aware of the gap in that smoke, which is a slight error at the start of this round, which could be quite costly. BlameF is continuing to pressure Connector, but you can see that bomb is over towards the B apartments, and yet still Sprout are stacked with 3 players on this B bomb site.
Yeah, I mean, definitely involves a level of risk, no doubt. Seems to be the right call, though. Speedy's been on point with these. He's now a little bit back towards the window, but he can be there really quickly. And look at how they're getting information in the middle. Cressy walking in to find out what's going on, and they know what's coming next. Wonderful play out of Sprout right now. This is actually really cool to see. Not just, I mean, they are far behind, but they're actually making really good choices in the middle of this match. Cressy will get the final kill here, and it's going to be 5 rounds on the board for Sprout. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. They did go on a 6-round run to start this this first half with here, Complexity. But Sprout, once they were in it, if you just look from sort of the middle of the half onwards, it's looking super competitive. It just almost like it was a little bit too late by the time they got into it. Or at least maybe.
Yeah, it's not going to be a great half score-wise for them, but I think you've got to give them a lot of credit for the way they've come back into it and not falling for the pressure lurk that FlameF loves to do. They seem like they're ready for that. They're not ready for that player pushing underpass, though. 2 Ts running at Dennis. He gets caught off guard this time round. It's Complexity's turn to have a clean man advantage early in the round.
Taking down Dennis, and now trying to get this window boost in. Gun barrel is showing. Cressy runs for it, and it's really messy all across the board. He did a lot of damage, but yeah, those fights are always really weird. Speedy sneaking in. BlameF, he's gonna go right down. He was so tagged up from earlier, and that's a really annoying thing for Complexity. Yeah, they just have to go. They know we're never gonna recover that side of the map anyway. Let's just go for it. They're gonna be trading that one, and Farven goes down to JKS, and Complexity, quick decision making, gives them a bomb plant and maybe even this 10th round.
I was hoping those A players would be very prepared for the push, but Faven seemed to be in transition of position. He was jumping up on the box. Still winnable, though, especially with that shot landing from Spitty.
Yeah, there is a chance for sure. They have some good grenades. They have some defuse kits as well. They could definitely do this. JKS forced out, but he's going to get the headshot on Spitty, and that leaves Slacks in a near unwinnable position here. He can't even really find them at the moment. They are just playing with him, and JKS will take him down. Wonderful triple at the end for a 10-5 split in the first half. And we'll be back in the second half with even more Counter-Strike action. After the break, stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have got the second half coming your way. Still the first map here at the B stream between Sprout and Complexity. And Hawker, do you think they did enough Complexity in this first half to win their map?
Yeah, I think they should be pretty happy, all things considered. But Sprout definitely showed us some resistance as that half went on. It was a really strong start for Complexity, but I'm hoping we at least get a competitive second half here. BlameF getting aggro up mid. An early kill goes his way, and Poison with one of his own. Oh, and another one. Poison just fighting them through mid. This is looking very good now.
It's so hard when you don't win the pistol rounds, isn't it? I mean, especially when you're a little bit behind like this, but I feel like right now for Sprout, given the, I really think, excellent work that they did at the end of the first half, it's a little bit of a shame to not see them be able to... There's a little tag at least, a little smiley face. I feel like I don't get to use these sprays at all because I'm so... I was thinking about the 1.6 sprays, which were like, you could upload your own custom ones, which obviously led to a lot of obscenities, but at the same time, it was cool. Oh, all right. Well, it is the round for complexity, and I think that is real bad news for Sprout.
Yeah, that's tough. Because I really think Sprout could have made this a fairly competitive half if they win that pistol. I think they can go on to make this a somewhat close game. But a bad start to the first half could be followed up with a bad start to the second half too. Without the bomb plant, though, Sprout are just going to take a single save here to get that gun round out as early as possible. And I think that has to be the right call here, Anders, right? You're 11-5 down. I think you just want to get that gun round in the next and try and get things going early.
Oh, UMP up close. Oh, that is going to chew them up. Pretty good stoppage there. No chance for even a bomb plant. And, yeah, I think you are right. They're going to try and see if they can just get this rolling right now. 18th round. Got some AKs. But the way the complexity bought in that previous round means they're not really that worried, are they? You know, they still have like a pretty good amount of weapons to deal with. There's not a lot of MP9s.
Absolutely. And they even have a good bit of money in the bank. So if they were to lose this one, they could consider buying again, thanks to so many surviving in the previous round. So it's some hard work that Sprout are going to have to put in here. 12-5 down. Let's see if they can get things going early on their T side, because they could really do with winning a couple of rounds now and causing some issues for that complexity squad. Otherwise, it could start to get too out of hand. It's Sprout's turn to take some early mid control in this round. Dennis has got all the way up into the ladder room early on.
A very good position to be in. I actually think this is like a little bit of a lost art in a way. Oh, nice trade there. That's not bad for Farvan to be there to follow it up. But yeah, it's a little bit of a lost art getting this early man in the ladder room and then playing around it. There are some teams in the past that did this really well, but I think people have kind of forgot about it a little bit. I think VP, the original lineup, it's a bit of a throwback, I guess. But I've seen some teams in the past that do that very well. And now it's not used nearly as much. It's still a 3-on-4, though. Poison is nearly dead, but that's still good enough in a lot of ways. He's holding a position that is maybe even spammable, so you got to be a little bit careful here. 40 seconds on the clock, and they're going to have to go for this A-bomb site right now.
Good kill from Poison. Goes for more, and Config's there to back him up. Even with Cressy winning that fight, he was never going to get away with much else because Config pounced so quickly on that flank through mid. And it's all on Farvan, trying to get that bomb back, trying to see if there are some fights available to him, but it's not a favorable one. The FAMAS of Blame F lines him up at long range, and Complexity have now put themselves in a prime position to win this map.
13-5, yeah. The gap is really huge here, and some of the crucial rounds. I mean, again, just to throw it back, that first half started with 6 in a row for Complexity, and this one is starting with, 3 in a row for them. Just those kind of beginnings to each half means even if Sprout are able to make decent recoveries or fight here on this map, it's just such a long road back. Not easy in any way. Dennis is back here in the ladder room. He's at it again.
This might work okay. There's only 2 CTs on this A site. The spacing is slightly off, though. Cressy and Spiddy go out early. The other player's not ready to fully commit to that bomb site. And with the bomb being dropped over on A, now the rest of Complexity are going to start to rotate. And Config is even ready for Dennis's cheeky attempt at a push through the smoke.
Oh. Poison really trying to stay hidden back there. But you kind of understand the idea of that kind of a round. If they could have got in and got the bomb down, then Dennis' position just gets converted into a look. And, he can catch rotations. He could do a lot of things from there. So I still very much appreciate it. But it's all just in theory at the moment. It's 14-5, though. Complexity are really far ahead in it. Sprout, man. I think at this point, you would have to see not just Sprout really showing us a cool T side here. You'd have to see Complexity also losing track a little bit of what they're doing, because look at everyone on the Sprout side in terms of kills. Even Config and Poison at top, but everyone is playing well. This is a scary team.
And JKS was actually a bit behind the pack earlier on in this game, so seeing him catching up is certainly nice. Definitely no real weak link right now for Complexity, and Config is continuing his fine form throughout this game. He gets the early kill over towards the B apartments. From this point, Complexity can be quite content. Already a man up in this round. Going to see if they can stick around in this connector position. And Spiddy has just taken huge damage from that nade, and I don't know if he's ready. BlameF was right behind him, but it's Config who wins a second fight in the round.
Very, very difficult to take that kind of an aim battle with someone like Config. He is very crisp, and you can tell that he's feeling alive today. And he is very good on this map in general, but still, going to be a 2-on-5 to try and stop Complexity from getting that map point. Oh, Farvin, okay, a little bit awkward, and he's going to go down right afterwards, and so will Dennis. So double kill for each of Poison and Config. And it's going to be 15-5. My God, it's 5 in a row straight here for Complexity.
This could turn into a very one-sided scoreline. I think right now this probably is a bit harsh on Sprout, but all things considered, Complexity have looked like the better team here. 15-5 up, and looking to close it out 16-5 on this first map. They are certainly not messing around after losing that opening game in this 9th to 12th decider bracket. They have very confidently bounced back in these recent matchups.
Yeah, that is a good point, isn't it? Something to really keep in the back of your mind, especially if you are if you're on the Sprout side of things right now. You wanna remember that. And Dust 2 is also coming up, of course, which Sprout did pick. So let's just wait and see. AKs and a scout. They have the beginnings of some mid-control. Wouldn't call it mid-control just yet, but they're certainly thinking about it. And maybe turning it into... It's hard to say. The bomb is really far back, so they might just spend some time here looking for openings. But it could end up some sort of an A crunch.
Definitely the potential for it. They've left their options open, although not with too much utility remaining on the Sprout side. I'll really be hoping that one flashbang can make a good difference for them. Or maybe they'll just be hoping they can overwhelm one of these positions. 40 seconds remaining means that Sprout have got to make up their minds soon. They will start to sneak up into connector, but BlameF is ready for it. Double spray down to kick things off.
Oh, dear. Well, they're going to get one in return at the very least, taking down Poison. That's something to start with, but Cressy is still going to be going down. JK is able to find that one, and now it is a 2-on-2. 15 seconds on the clock. The bomb is right in front of Config. They try and jump to get past. He's going to get one of them. Rush now. 1 versus 1. Farvin is on the other side, and that will be 16-5 as Complexity take the first map and bring down Sprout in a very, very one-sided matchup. Even if Sprout, I think, did actually make some good decisions on that CT side. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah, nicely played by Rush there at the end too. Like, you just go up on the stairs with such little time remaining. How the hell are you going to be able to flick up to him that quickly? He lands the last shot, and all in all, a good showing from Complexity. A pretty professional performance. I think they showed up with that fire early into the game, and they carried it through to close it out at the end.
Yeah, well done. That's the kind of stuff we really like to see. And obviously, that was their map pick as well. So it could well change, and we're all hoping so. Sprout, they need a second chance. They'll get one on Dust too, but not before the break. And then we'll bring back Alan as well at that point. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What a wild ride that was. Complexity just taking that map really without much of an issue. Alan, I mean, this is everything we wanted, surely, out of Complexity.
Oh, certainly. After the FPX game, this is a totally different team, just as we saw yesterday as well. I think the first half was really interesting. You picked up on it in the cast. Complexity, as we expected, a lot of the 4-1s, a lot of grouping, particularly towards B, hitting that bomb site, and Sprout worked out. If they sit back and they're passive, they have no chance in this matchup. So they got more aggressive, more proactive, looking for those opening duels, trying to get information. And during the kind of the middle to the late stages of that first half, they looked pretty good, actually. It's just they kind of left themselves too much work to do. And then going into the second half, when you're losing pistol and you're losing first gun, and you've only got 5 rounds in the first half, it's always going to be tough. And Complexity played a solid game in the end and got it over the line.
Yeah, it was really encouraging to see, and I do feel a little bit bad. I would have liked to have seen how Sprout would have played this whole thing out if they had got into it a little bit earlier, but we'll just never know, I suppose. Hawker, I mean, we had Config and Poison, I believe, playing pretty well. That's a satisfying duo, isn't it, to watch from Complexity just all on its own?
Yeah, certainly. I'm glad we're getting to see Poison come through in the way I was hoping he would continue to come through on this squad. You know, I had a couple of rounds where he definitely made big plays when they needed him to. They didn't really need to rely on him too much, though, because I think it was just so convincing in a bunch of those rounds. I will say for Sprout, though, I think you can really see the value of keeping the experienced players like Spitty on this team, because oftentimes you feel like a lot of the up-and-coming teams can struggle with that adaptation at times. Maybe they have one way of playing that they're going to stick to. But yeah, Sprout definitely did adapt throughout this game. So you can definitely see why it's nice having Spitty there to make those sorts of calls. And hopefully into their own map pick, we'll get to see more of the same.
Well, going into the second map on Dust 2, which is Sprout's map pick. Alan, let's say that there's like a couple of different ways that you could lose the first map in a best of 3. Let's say one of them is, you just get wiped out, 16-1 or 16-5 in this case. You don't feel like you really stood a chance. And the other one is it starts out that way, but you try and fight your way back, and then you still lose right at the end. You get to like 16-13, and then it's like, we put all that effort for nothing. Which of those do you think is worse? I mean, one, you have more chance to play and you have more time to warm up, and the other one, maybe you just say, okay, well, that was never on map, let's just we don't have to think about it. Like, is there a preference there, or does it not matter?
I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. I would say when you're kind of getting absolutely hammered, there is a kind of respect where, just getting some gun rounds under you, playing some games, some rounds on the rifles and playing proper rounds out where you're in good situations is valuable, rather than just every round just getting hammered, always man down, never kind of actually playing real Counter-Strike as it would play out in the kind of an average normal round. So there is kind of this sort of aspect at play, but there is a fairly heavy reset from map to map. So either way, it went for Sprout, and they did lose 16-5. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, but we have to say, just looking at that first map alone, the Complexity players look in better form. They're much more kind of heated up at the moment. So Sprout, we need to see Crezzy, we need to see Faven really on top form, especially on a map like Dust 2. There's going to be a lot of Angels in this one. So hopefully, from an individual perspective, we can see a bit more from Sprout, and they can, at least have a competitive scoreline going into the second map.
Well, Hawker, any final thoughts about that first map or leading into the second map? Your choice is yours.
Yeah, I don't think that there's too much more to say about Mirage, just because the way it ended up, unfortunately. I do think coming into Dust 2, on the Sprout side, they have got some pretty good wins on this map lately. They beat Big here at Flashpoint. They've beaten FaZe. Something I'll say about that FaZe game, though, is I really got the feeling that FaZe were missing a good bit of utility. Hello. Oh, we're good. We're good. I was a bit worried for a second. No, yeah, they're missing a good bit of utility on the FaZe side. Like, I feel like they gave quite a few rounds away to Sprout, and it was still a very close game. So Sprout have got some good wins on Dust, but I feel like if Complexity can keep it compact and just not miss too much utility, I feel like they should still be able to get the win here, honestly.
I hope so. I would be cool to see a third map. I have to give a huge shout out to Alan, by the way, for sticking around instead of dealing with the fire alarm. I feel
it's okay, I'm back now.
That's a level of dedication to the show that we've never seen before. So, you know, if this is our last time with you, Alan, then I just want to say I really appreciate it.
For God's sake, just send it to the next map, Anders. I'm going to be dead by the end of the next one anyway. At this rate,
we should, but it is fun to stick around. But listen, why don't you go check out if there actually is a fire, and then we'll see you for the second map. Appreciate it, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here ready almost with the second map. It's going to be on Dust 2 between Sprout and Complexity here at Flashpoint on the B stream. Don't forget there's an A stream as well. I'm sure you guys already knew. Hawker, we're going to head into that second map on Dust 2. So Sprout hopefully have recovered. What are your thoughts coming into this? You know, how do they turn this around?
Oh, I guess winning pistol rounds would help. I really just hope they don't get off to those super slow starts, honestly. I think that's the main thing, because if they can not fall into that trap, I think they do have a pretty good chance on Dust 2. So hopefully they can just put that last one behind them, and if they get off to a good start, a good pistol round, I could definitely see this being a very close map.
You're right. Pistol, I didn't even think about that. And that was a problem with Sprout, I think, overall in this tournament. I mean, I think one of the best of threes we saw with them so far, they sort of recovered a little bit, but I feel like they generally have had a little bit of trouble with that. So, yeah. So maybe winning a pistol, maybe getting off to something like that would be very helpful. So, yeah, that'll give them the rifles earlier, maybe give them the scopes that they love, the double ops and everything else. So there are probably some paths to victory here for them, and we'll also see. I mean, we'll have to see if Complexity can stay on that same really hot level with Poison and Conflict leading the charge. If they can, I don't know. I feel like they just look like a stronger team right now, so I think it'll be tricky almost no matter what. But I'm willing to have my mind changed. I mean, Farvid, I feel like we didn't really get to see much out of him at all. It's like they lost so quickly we didn't even get to see much of anything, but we know he could be really good. So, you know, maybe he could give them the space in the beginning if he just has like a really fiery start on this map.
I've got to be hoping for something like that here on the Sprout side. Something to get their fans excited after a blowout loss on the first map. They get the chance to turn things around, to right the ship on their own map pick. But we're already seeing that no respect style of Complexity. Config is pushed into lower tunnels. They have to make sure they don't overlook this.
Well, Config, real close here. I mean, if a lot of targets come around the corner, that's probably not going to be easy to deal with. But if it's just the one, I mean, he can get that kill and try and recover it. Farvin is waiting, and Config is still somehow quicker. Now he's back through the mid doors. Still sticking around just for another fight if he can get it. He's got the range for it. Blameth goes down, in fact. Now, that was to a Glock as well. That's interesting. But Config is just ready to fight no matter what. It doesn't even matter if he's winning or losing that fight. He just wants to keep it going. And Cressy, though, is bringing this back. He's actually winning all of these fights with just a Glock, which is really, really impressive.
Those were fights often on that B site too, so he's going to be able to get that bomb planted, or rather Dennis goes in for it, and Cressy's still going. He's got a quad kill on the round, and it's all on Poison, who's trying to see if he can finally find Cressy. He's sitting on the other side of the door, but Poison's not getting given that chance to pull the trigger. Finally gets the opportunity, but there are players all around him, and that bomb is slowly ticking away. Kit recovered, but it's not going to make a difference. Not quite the ace for Cressy, but he definitely delivered enough to give his team that round.
They get the pistol round. Your first step in the right direction, that's got to be considered amazing news. So, second round's going to be coming up. Now, there's a scout on Poison, and I'm sure there are going to be deagles to follow. So, they want to try and see if they can upset this 3 HEs as well. I mean, on Dust 2, this could be pretty dangerous. A strong B spawn. Do they really want to go for it?
It's always tempting. Spitty's taking some damage down mid, but they are going to pull the trigger on the fast B, and this is where the D can be dangerous. 2 body shots is all JKS needs, and he's somehow staying alive in this smoke. Comes up for the kill, and there are more players close by. JKS still going strong, and the rotate's arriving, but finally they find that kill and another one to get them into the B bomb site.
Oh, blame if he has that 1 HE still. I mean, they're all within HE range. JKS didn't even reload. He just wanted one more 1D, essentially. But let's just see if Blameth could find a good spot for the nade. That would really make a big difference. 2 versus 3, of course. And without the kit, they're going to have to be really quick about it. The nade does nothing at all. And I think that might have been one of the last chances of doing anything. Now, even if they get in and get 2 kills quickly here, they have to find a third player and get a defuse. And that just doesn't seem likely. So, kind of a cool round out of Complexity. But they just needed a little bit more. Oh, wow. That is a rat play.
That's what those open doors can do now, definitely. Like, you can just stop players from trying to get back to safety.
Oh, yeah. That is, Yeah, I mean, it works both ways, right? We've been complaining about the doors for a long time, but they do also offer that kind of a deal. Third round, and they still have the scout and the eagle, so not bad, I guess. Could do some more damage.
That's what they'll be looking for. I don't think the round win is really on Complexity's mind, but some damage definitely will be. They haven't bought a smoke for the cross, but they've bought 3 nades to try and stack into long. I don't think Sprout are falling for that, though. They've seen only 1-man cross, so they're going to go ahead and rush that B site again.
Oh, he's going to get the headshot. I mean, that's a bit of a beginning. They're a little bit timid about just running into it. They don't want to lose anyone else. Molotov is a great idea. Try and make sure that he can't get those shots off, and I feel like, once again, their pass, they got the bomb down. I think that should be enough to secure the round of a Sprout, even if they ran into a little bit early on. Speedy, in good range. Oh, okay.
Ooh, AK's just about doing the job right now, but they may be in trouble. Faven doing what he can, but BlameF trades him out, and Complexity, well, we were saying they were just going to do damage in this round. They get all the kills they need, and even when Sprout win the pistol, they can't convert it into all the round wins they would have wanted.
I really can't even understand it. That is such a winnable round. From Sprout's point of view, there's no reason they should be even close to losing that once they have the bomb down and everything else. So that is kind of a little bit mind-blowing, and it must be, well, hopefully it's not too deflating, but that's got to really sting. If you're trying to build a round, you know, or a map here early on, you're happy about winning the pistol, things are looking decent, but that must have taken some of the wind out of the sails.
Hopefully they can turn it round in this one. The flashes on long look good, but then Poison lines up 2 for 1. Oh, out of nowhere, it's just all started going so wrong for Sprout.
It's really not a good look, is it? Speedy getting caught by that position. Some good damage and a headshot ultimately onto Config. So he's going to be going down. But look at us pushed up all the way to long. I don't know if he wants to keep going, but Rush almost was turning the corner then. Yeah, and I think now he's creeping out long. So they are... The tiny box where they fit into right now, Sprout, is getting smaller and smaller every second.
Faven gets a bit of information, but CTs are very aware now, rotating more players to defend this bomb site, even retaking control. That is a stunning shot from Slacks, but it won't lead to anything. BlameF with the AK mows down the last 2 players, but we've had some pretty impressive scout shots here at the start of Dust.
That really was lightning fast, wasn't it? Yeah, it didn't change the round, but that was... I can't even understand what really happened. That was so quick. Right at the edge, I think, of the box that he was hiding behind as well. So, 2 to 2 right now is the scoreline. 5th round, and... I mean, they got AKs and the AWP on the Complexity side. This is so good right now. The fact that they steal the AKs as well just make it even more painful. Oh, no. Oh, that's going to be a decent nade.
Ouch. Yeah, that is tough to take. Not another one. Okay, this time it's not going to do as much. It is crazy how quickly things can turn around in Counter-Strike. Felt so good for Sprout, and now they're on 5 Glocks.
Yeah, I mean, giving away a lot early on here. They're hoping for something. They just have Glocks, so unless they're just talking and trying to get everyone really well motivated, maybe thinking about the next round where they can pick up rifles, then I don't think waiting around is going to solve much for them.
They are baiting out some nades.
True.
That's a small consideration. Only a couple $100 worth here or there, but I guess it's better than nothing.
Certainly is. And, I mean, still, I guess all they're really losing is time at any rate. So, see if they can get some damage in here towards the end. That's the real dream. Complexity, I'm not giving them many chances to find any of these fights, so it's tricky either way. Cressy the only one left, and he's going to be going down, so Complexity adding to their return into Dust 2 here a flawless round where they don't lose anyone at all.
Oh, after we were hoping for a strong start for Sprout, it looked like we were going to get it. Complexity have got into the lead for the first time in this game, all off the back of that shock win in the third round. Now we'll get to see if they can continue that success. Over on the Sprout side, they're back to a bye. They do have that AWP in the hands of Slacks, although he's had to go without Kevlar to be able to afford that sniper. The rest of the squad will have their AKs, but they've used a lot of their utility early on here. Just a couple of nades left now for Sprout.
Config up close, AK in his hand, so not going to be one shot for 98. Oh, but the flashbang is going to just cancel all of that right out. JKS in a lot of trouble. He flashes himself in, trying to see if he can find a fight. I actually think they were flashed, and he sprays down too. He's about to get shot at the back. He takes another one with him, and then the backup is there. What an amazing round out of JKS. He made a call right then. He knew he couldn't stay inside of the bomb site because he was going to get sandwiched, so he brought the fight to them instead, and it worked perfectly.
Definitely brilliant awareness to realize he had to be proactive in that spot. As you pointed out, it's just how quick he was and how convinced he was that he instantly knew he had to go ahead and just take those fights. The flash was good enough to set up those early kills, those sprays to the body successful, and then he can even team up with Poison, who was able to push through the CT smoke to help him out. So really nice work from JKS there, saving the round for his squad and putting Complexity on an even better win streak. They're up to 4 in a row. They should be able to make it 5.
Yeah, this is such a strong comeback. I mean, it's hard to even call it a comeback when it is this early on, but Sprout definitely struggling to figure out exactly how to turn this around. And this is in light of the fact that that actually was a great call for Sprout in terms of doing the B-split. That's what they needed to do in that round. And they get the kill on Config to set it up, leaving JKS alone, and then none of that even matters because JKS just decided to win the round regardless. 5-2 in their favor, and we'll see. Sprout back with some money at least.
To the upside for them. I think it was Sprout who we were seeing earlier go for a lot of those long plays on Dust 2, if I'm remembering correctly. But I don't think they've had the spawn for it really this game. So maybe they've had to go away from that.
Yeah, that's a right. They ran long A like 5 or 6 times in a row when they were playing yesterday. I kind of forgot about that. Haven't really tried to do it just yet. Cressy will go down. Hanging out over at the Longhouse. 3 of them have taken a route through Upper Dark into Lower Dark and out into Middle. Let's see if they could find any kind of success here. Still got plenty of time.
Good shot from Poison. Peaks that angle at just the right time to extend the advantage that Complexity had gained early into the round. And they're even going to go back for more. Poison flashed in for yet another peek. He hits his target again, and Sprout are being picked apart in this round.
They really are. And they need to do so much damage. If they were losing some of these rounds, but it was down to, one-on-ones, and they really did heavy economic damage to Complexity, then they could kind of keep their heads a little bit high, because they at that point you would know that it doesn't take that much to turn it around and get back on a big winning streak yourself. That's not exactly where we're at the moment. They have got a lot of it. 13, almost 14,000 on Blamer. That's a giant problem.
Faven trying to sneak his way up. Oh, there's Poison shutting him down, and it's a strong round from Poison. Another multi-kill from him to add to his collection. He's had a couple of those today. This time it's even a quad kill for him. And as you so rightly pointed out, the money for Complexity is lovely. Not so for Sprout, though.
I understand that he's trying to dock down to keep his model lower so that he didn't get shot from long, but that did look like he was, role-playing some sort of ostrich or something, and just keeping his head in the ground, just thinking, like, maybe they won't shoot me if I just keep like this. Oh, is there going to be a B-rush? There's a Molotov down. Now there's a smoke. He does have an HE primed, and he's got some backup. Config is right outside with no real nades. I mean, he doesn't have a Molotov or an HE or anything to stop them, but yeah. Oh, here comes the nade. JKS, this is a really good timing. That's going to soften them up a little bit, and he's got the AK behind it, so they're going to have maybe some issue getting through here. Pretty good nades to start off with. Flashes are in as well. Let's see if they can hold it. JKS, he's actually flashed, and what an entry. That is fantastic.
Lovely stuff. Out of nothing, Sprout makes something happen here on the B-bomb site. You're right, it looked like JKS was very ready initially when he threw that nade, but not able to lock it down. That bomb plant is going to take some damage, but no way to deny Slacks from getting that bomb planted. And now Complexity may have to consider if it's even worth going for this retake. I know they've got a lot of money, but it seems very unlikely right now.
Yeah, to retain the B-bomb site generally is just almost impossible at times, so the fact that Complexity managed to do it earlier when they just had the pistols is a little bit tricky. Farben goes down. Dennis and Slacks are low on health, so, I mean, Complexity can still make this very expensive in a bunch of different ways, even if they don't win the round. And I think that's just what they're doing right now. Hoping to just try and see if they can get them to, well, I mean, maybe blow up? Oh, well, one of them did. But I think that was really well handled by Sprout. I thought that was going to be way more expensive.
Yeah, they did a good job at winning those fights, but the nice thing, I guess, for Complexity there is, because of the way they fought, that there's no way that Sprout are going to steal that AWP, for example, because they would have to go where the bomb is blowing up to try and save that AWP. So there's a couple of nice things there for Complexity. They made it more difficult for Sprout to save some guns. However, they will be able to get a buy together, and Slacks is going to use that smoke to his advantage. He can hold the angle initially, but Complexity had a counter smoke of their own that made that pick impossible.
Still default kind of setup here for Sprout. Not keeping an eye on upper dark, and this time Config not going to get flashed. Last time, oh well, he's going to try and jump past. A little bit of damage coming out here. But yeah, that flashbang went just a little bit too far to catch Config. So still, it's a trade. It's a 1-for-1. And they still have over a minute left, and they are slowing it down, waiting for Complexity to make the next move.
Patience is the name of the game for both teams right now. Flash through the mid doors. Sprouts still have plenty of nades in their back pockets, so don't need to hold on to those. Can try and fake some presence. After the early trade, looks like Sprout want to stay compact now. I think they realize they have a good opportunity to try and stick together and maybe group up on some Complexity players that have to spread slightly more thinly across the map. As it stands, though, Complexity are sticking with 3 players on A. It's a big risk and one that might not pay off for them.
JKS is so alone with that AWP. He's trying to see if he can get into the window, and it's going to be about 20 seconds. If he gets the right kill at the right time, this can work. Oh, he actually does tag up Speedy. That's really impressive. He's back with the AWP, dropping the bomb as well, taking down Faven, and now they're just running out of time. They can't actually get into the bomb site and plant the bomb any longer. Never mind the fact that they can't live to do that. It's going to be a 1 versus 2, and Cressy, time is out. Yeah, just try and stay alive if you can at all here. BlameF, not quite going for him, but that's... JKS is still looking quite crisp at the moment.
That was really well worked by him, actually. Yeah, because this time round, he doesn't have the same ability to fight really aggressively on mid doors because he didn't have anyone close by to help him. So maybe if there was a player in CT, he might have fought really aggressively and just tried to work with his teammate who could push the CT smoke. But instead, he knew this time he had to survive a bit longer and just focus on slowing them down and fragging. And he did so pretty effectively. Even if it's only 1 kill, he did enough. That's an insane shot from Spitty. These scouts are just ridiculous today.
Yeah, maybe buy more of those. That seems to be working really well. And that would say down BlameF, who's 13-3 now. So kind of a nice target to bring down right now. The 11th round. And it's a really scrappy buy out of Sprout, but whatever. If they can start to win rounds, I think that is the only thing that really matters here. Complexity, not looking to respond in terms of going aggressive at the moment. Looked like they maybe wanted to go into upper dark for a second, but now they're all backing out of B. They're just expecting some sort of an A hit here. What a call this could be.
Oh, this time JKS comes in to help Config on that fight through the mid doors. And the explosion into the A site is at the ready, but they have to beat down Poison, which they have. Rush flashes himself in for further action, though. The lineup comes through for him, and that should put this round to bed. The nade is the cherry on top for Rush. A really nice hold for him. Gets himself up to double digits and gets his team another round.
A beautiful flashbang set up there by Rush, and the call even in the middle of the round to just decide, you know what? Let's lean A. Let's try and see if we can do this. Just a great amount of confidence on the complexity side. Sprout, no bomb plant, but they are able to pick up a buy here. And this is looking not like the Sprout that we saw the other couple of days. So that's a problem because they were really resilient, really hard to win against Sprout. Even on the maps they lost, they look super competitive, but this is something else.
Maybe is that different in level of competition that's causing some of these issues. They've tried to go for that long play, but Complexity have done a pretty good job at denying it whenever it has come through. This time, 3 Sprout players die without being able to get a kill. They come so close on both of those fights on long, but Blame F and Rush survive on a slither of health, and that leaves Sprout in an almost impossible situation.
2 versus 5. I don't even know what you could do here. Dennis, is he going to try and make the jump for it? I mean, you're going to have to make some sort of superhero move to make this work even a little bit. Oh, no. Config must have been able to see his... Maybe when the smoke was fading, like, right under. I think he was standing underneath him. Slacks goes down last, and it's a flawless round once again for Complexity. 9-3 right now. They're not even allowing Sprout on the server right now.
That's how it's feeling at this point. I mean, I did say at the start of this game, if Sprout can win the pistol, that's going to be a good start. And they did that, and then this happened anyway. So, I don't know, I guess I don't have any answers at this point as to how Sprout can switch this up.
Well, the problem is Sprout don't either. They're going to try and go fast into the B-bomb site. That did work once, and JKS a little bit overwhelmed. Oh, he's got a pistol, though, and he keeps going. Massive double kill. Config coming in to try and even clean up the rest of it, and Cressy was up the middle. Man, credit to JKS for not folding after he missed that initial AWP shot.
That's such a hard spot to be in. When you miss the AWP shot, when they're all running at you with just a P250. And again, it's that same sort of scenario where surviving for a little bit longer than expected makes a massive difference there from JKS. Allows his teammates to get in towards B in time because he was the only player committed to that bomb site initially. So really good stuff from JKS. Nice shot on the mid-cross for Sprout this time. Config down to 30 health early in the round. And this time, going to see 2 players focused on mid for Complexity.
Always good to be able to do a little bit of damage like that. Going to try and see if they could boost to take a look and find someone up here. Blame if not in a position where they can really peek him. But if they jump up on that back box, he's at least maybe going to have a slight advantage there. So far, no one getting near his position. They're giving up long entirely, so they're really focused on some sort of a B split here. Complexity, they'd be ready to deal with that for sure.
Yeah, that's the shift in setup this time for the CTs. Looking pretty good for them so far. Molly goes down. Double nades could be good, but they end up doing almost no damage. Sprout were already past where those nades had landed, so somewhat unfortunate for Complexity there. And Config will certainly be hearing these steps. He may try and go through the smoke, and he gets rewarded. Oh, he's got 2 kills on just 30 health.
Very punishing. Again, just not even being allowed to set up anything. They're just in the middle where that's like the staging area for whatever you're about to do next. And even just occupying that position right now for Sprout is very dangerous. Rush out here, holding the smoke. Cressy, I don't know. Flashbang will draw him back, and Cressy's going to be walking out. Some good timing, but Rush still getting the headshot. Oh, and he spins for it. He is on point today, Rush as well. 15-4 scoreline on him, and they're so far behind Hawker. I have no idea what Sprout could even begin to do here.
It does feel like it's getting to that point where you just can't find any answers, unfortunately, on that Sprout side of things. I mean, the fact that Config on 30 health decides to go aggressive through the mid doors and gets the timing on it just right to get 2 kills. It's so annoying for Sprout right now. Like you said, they're not getting the chance to set up some of their plays. 11-3 complexity heading into the last round of the half. Poison's AWP straying out towards mid. Misses the first opportunity. They're going to try and hunt him down, and that's a nice shot from Favin.
Good job so far. Trying to see if they get one more round on the board here before the half ends. Blameth. Trying to peek that one. It's going to be Dennis going down in return. That was JKS down in the middle. Again, they've given up on the B-bomb site here. Complexity. Just trying to group up and lean a little bit towards the A-bomb side. And Rush, he's hiding inside of the smoke. And they don't know that yet. Now, normally people do check it, but, you know, they're a little bit stressed right now. Rush goes down. That was Speedy. Good call to do that. Config showing up, though, with that ridiculous aim, and he's going to get all 3 headshots. He is an absolute robot at times. And Slacks 1 versus 3, and he's going to go down. Config with a quad kill every single one of them headshots. Just absolutely outrageous. And it ends 12-3 in favor of Complexity in the first half. Let's see what happens in the second half after the break. Welcome back once again. We're here at the B stream, and it's Sprout versus Complexity to try and find some more RMR points. And right now, Complexity are looking very hungry for just exactly that, Hawker. They are so close to winning this in just 2 maps.
It's looking very good for them. This pistol round would probably be one of the final nails in the coffin if they were to win it. Nice molly onto short. They are getting ahead of the game here, not allowing Slacks to peek into mid. He's going to try and see if he can get flashed through, but there's no way for him to take the fight to them. So Complexity getting ahead of the game, getting that short control for free.
Sprout won the pistol in the first half, and it didn't really do any difference at all. So, I mean, I don't even know what it would take here. Speedy, that's an amazing flashbang to get into the fight. Another good headshot. And he's almost getting a third one there. Dennis is reloading, and they're not going to give him the time for it. It's not that kind of a fight, is it? Bomb is going to be planted now. There is a kit. You could see it right there in front of Falvin. So they're going to have that for the retake, but they won't have Cressy. He's down and out. Poison's going to take one more with him. And now Slacks 1 versus 2. And they should be playing more or less a game of hide and seek here. They could play just to try and run that clock down a little bit lower. They are just jiggling him all over the place. And eventually he will go down too. So Complexity win the pistol on that second half.
Nice pace into the B bomb site. Sure, Sprout get a couple of early kills, but Complexity are always going to have players who are very capable when you get into those post-plant scenarios, when you get into those sorts of positions. They've got plenty of players that know the way to maneuver themselves around those bomb sites. They do exactly that to take a 13-3 lead. It's another scenario where everyone is fragging on Complexity. You know, Rush right up there at the top. They're all doing a great job. Sprout trying to see if they can contest long, and it's working out pretty nicely for them. The Molly, the Deegs doing early damage. Conflict can't even get away safely, and the AK recovered by Cressy cuts everyone down on the corner. That's more like it for Sprout. Maybe they've got some ability to come back here to show us something towards the start of this second half.
Nice hold. Good timing. I mean, it's when it's this far gone, it's very hard to begin to even build some sort of a narrative around it. So, but I mean, if there was a way in which they turned this into a competitive map here on the second one, then yeah, why not start it right now? Losing the pistol sucks, but if you could turn it around, then maybe that's all you need. Blameth is 17-4. I just can't even believe it. But he's in a 1 versus 4, so he should be adding another death to that in a minute.
That is certainly the most likely outcome. Maybe could do some damage before dying, or maybe he can find a nice, quaint spot in the countryside to save in. I don't know if there's any countryside on Dust 2, really, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, it's a little bit barren, isn't it? Some of the architecture is kind of cool, but I guess not quite here. Maybe you could like find a car tire to hide inside. Maybe that would work. Roll around.
You can do that on the new cache. Actually, there's that little tire you can hide in.
Oh, really?
I say new cache. It's been out for ages now.
Yeah, but things move slow in Counter-Strike, you know.
True.
Things stay new for a long time. All right. Well, yeah, round slowly runs out. Blameth gets to keep his AK-47. Scoreline is 13-4. And we have a little tech issue to solve out. So once we're through that, we're going to be back in the action. But really, I just don't know. I don't know what's happening to Sprout today. Does anyone know?
Hopefully they can try and figure it out. I don't know. It's just not been their day, clearly. So we are going to get straight back into things, though. I can confirm Complexity do have 5 players on the server. There we go. We'll get back into the action. And we'll see if Blameth can continue to be the hero with that 1 AK in this round.
I mean, I feel like anything is possible right now with the way that this game has been playing out in favor of Complexity, so I don't really see why not. Sprout, though, pretty much a default type setup. Pretty well situated in case there was going to be some sort of a B split coming. And generally just should have all of the advantage here. A couple of grenades, though, for Complexity, so they could have set up a lot. They have the double smoke for the catwalk. They could set that up and try and flash their way through and just explode onto the A-bomb site. Definitely possible here.
Looks like those nades will start to be lined up. 2 smokes in hand to try and be able to cross. Ooh, okay. Not the smokes you normally see. A molly already deployed by Slacks to try and slow them down. He lands a shot, almost the kill, and that nade should finish the job.
Yeah, Poison is down and out. Slacks missing an opportunity. Will at least give a bomb plant here for Complexity, so that's something to at least take home. Blameth and Config, the 2 Danes left. fighting and actually ending up in a 1 versus 2. That's a little bit scary. They do have a smoke and a kit, and they're going to try and smoke Blamef off. I wonder how that's going to be playing out. He's going for the early fight. Oh, and that means you have to come off the bomb. He can't keep defusing. That's a nightmare. Cressy's down and out. Faven, he picks it up again, but Blamef, he's not biting right now. He's waiting for it, and he's going to take him down, and that's all they needed. Go, Blamef, 21-4. This is so monstrous.
He's just so good in the clutches. How does he not even peek the bomb at any point in that 1-on-2? He's just so aware. He just knows they want it in their own hands. The Sprout players wanted the chance at the fight, and Blamef welcomes the opportunity, bides his time. Really well done by Blamef. And from the stats I was looking up recently, I think he was the player with the second highest clutch round percentage in the world, only behind Shiro. Which is understandable, because Shiro's just... I don't even know how he does his clutches with the AWP.
No, it's wild, isn't it? That's an interesting stat to think about. Well, it's 14-4. Cressy flashed through. That's a cool idea. I like that. Don't get the kill, but still, you gotta try. Blamef, Molotov, and the spam nearly catching Faven there. He was not that far away from dying. Man, this is... I haven't seen a team get beat like this in a best of 3 for a minute. I really feel like...
But I guess Complexity did kind of have this happen to them on the first day. Maybe not quite this bad.
Yeah, but I guess at least for Complexity, they did have like a bunch of 2v2s, right? That they ended up, like, at least they had that to sort of say, you know, this feels like it's very conclusive.
Yeah, it feels like Complexity are a different class right now. And Config starting to show that on this round as he approaches that A bomb site. So snappy on the first headshot. He's going to go ahead and look for even more.
Well, Cressy with a kill. Blamef. He's going to say maybe a little bit awkward. And Cressy will take him down with that stolen AK-47. So, 2-on-3. Dennis and Faven, who's very low from earlier in the fight. Poison. Oh, he... probably could have seen that. The bomb is going to be planted, and now it is back into a 2-on-2. Let's see if Sprout can get one more round here.
2 kills in the game so far for Dennis, and oh, he comes so close, but he sets up Faven for the first fight. It's up to JKS, who is able to swing out and win the final duel of the round. 15-4 Complexity. A good fight by Sprout in that round, but they're still not able to win it. Bit of a shame there. That looked so close, especially on Dennis. When he gets that dink with the MP9, you feel like he's going to get the kill. And I think losing that fight kind of put them in that position where they couldn't win it.
It just seems like no amount of, you know, good fortune or little slight, you know, thing could make a difference here. It's the scouts. I really feel like that's the takeaway here. Sprout just need to buy more scouts. That's been working. Cressy goes down in return, but it's still a favorable trade. They got Speedy down in the pit, and he's out of bullets, and he'll end up going down. So back in a 3-on-3. Slacks again with a scout kill to take down Config. And they're kind of trapped here on long, which is interesting.
Oh, good awareness from Rush. Looks back, gets the initial headshot, and opens up the rest of the map for the 2v2. Wow, they both took damage. Faven tags them both with the scout, and that leaves Complexity in a much more difficult position now. They're both very low on health here in this 2v2. But with how they've been playing so far, I wouldn't be surprised to see them winning it still.
Yeah, so we can't really rule them out at any point, can we? 50 seconds, and they're waiting, expecting, I think, Sprout to make some kind of a move, which they're not right now. They feel just fine with the scouts. Slacks is going to be moving down. He's catching them. Oh, that would have been enough for the kill. 35 seconds. He's back on that corner. Really good shot. He's just essentially treating it as a railgun right now, which is good to see. Blamef, 1 versus 2, and he's created a bit of space. At least try and get that bomb plant again. It does sort of matter. Oh, he's faking it out instead, and he's going to get the kill on Slacks now. The bomb will go down for real this time, and Faven comes in from long. Could be a really favorable fight for the scout once again, especially if Blamef doesn't realize that it's happening. He's looking for him. Oh, and there's the shot. Beautiful.
Nice kill from Faven. It was a pretty tight angle, but he hits the headshot on the attempt. It's been one of those days where a couple of the Sprout players have had okay score lines, okay stat lines on these maps. You know, this time it's Favin and Cressy who are doing okay kill-wise. Over on Mirage, I think Spitty was their leader. 15-5. They've at least matched the amount of rounds they won over on Mirage, and they've got a good chance to beat those 5 rounds they got on their opponent's map pick, because Complexity are likely taking a low buy here.
15-5, yeah. Eagles and a couple of P250s or something like that. It's probably around that Sprout should be able to win here. Say it with a little bit of intimidation. But I mean, one thing is winning around here or there. I feel like the overarching problem still is, how do you actually win the map? Which I don't have any answers on that front whatsoever. Scouts. I just buy 5 scouts. That's my answer.
That could work. We shall see. They have got 1 scout on the Sprout side for this round. They have also got a bit of an issue on this A bomb site, though. They've lost some control. The bomb isn't here, but there are players close by, and oh no, the Deegs are getting all the kills they need. Spitty's trying to fight back, but Complexity have the man advantage.
This is really outrageous. Another bomb plant here. Back into a 2-on-2, and well, they're gonna be able to solve that problem. So it wasn't quite the nightmare. I feel like even if you end up losing this, at least don't do it to just pistols, you know? That always feels so much worse. It's gonna be 6-15, and with the bomb plant though for Complexity, again, it just all adds more cash that they can work with in the upcoming round. So they're gonna be pretty well funded.
I was just admiring Dennis's glove and knife combo there. Looks very nice. This AK actually kind of fits with the theme, even though it's obviously not his, because he's on CT side. It's got that blue theme going on. Yeah, here comes that buy for Complexity.
Gotta keep it stylish, don't you? It's important.
I wish I would love to do that, but I can't justify spending so much on it.
No, I know what you mean. I'm in that same boat. I kind of, part of me is like, oh, maybe, but then I'm like, you know what? No. So, I'll just keep it basic for the minute.
We'll be responsible.
Yeah, something like that. 20. So I'll move all my irresponsible behavior into other fields. To put it like that.
Sure.
Well, what do they do here? They've got that catwalk push going on. They got Slacks showing up. He's got to be a little bit careful. Grenade doesn't do that much. The Molotov probably was going to slow them down, but it's scary when you're running in around the corner like that. The problem is, if he goes down, yeah, that long position with the double setup down there could be interesting for a potential retake. But they're probably just going to ignore it and put the bomb down and try and go from there. We'll see.
Slacks was liking that aggression onto short in some of the earlier games when he had that AWP. He liked taking that advanced angle. But I think with the scout, it's much more difficult to make that sort of play work. So he has decided to sit back onto the site itself. And with 35 seconds remaining, Complexity will set up their nades to pull the trigger on this A play.
Yep, really running the clock down a little bit low this time around. There is a push coming in from long. Config is going to be taking down Slacks, but they take care of the long portion of the fight, so that's great news. Spitty out here fighting and doesn't even zoom with the org, and he's still going to be able to pick up the kill there on Config, so it's another 2-on-2. There's a huge gap, and that looked like a very dangerous play. That smoke doesn't actually solve the problem of the gap either, so Cressy going down. Oh no, when he gets dinked. I don't know, they never really smoked off that crossing, not even close to it. That is a little bit of a mistake, and it might cost them the whole map right here. Tapping the bomb a single time, he's going to get the shot on Blamef, but he knows that Poison is not that far away. Trying to make the jump for it, Speedy. He's almost got it. One more bullet, but instead, it is Poison with a quad kill to win it 16-6. And Complexity, they take this match in just 2 maps. Wow, that was very one-sided.
Yeah, kind of a non-starter for Sprout today, sadly. I mean, it is great seeing Complexity back to their best, back on form. But I do feel a bit bad for Sprout on that first map especially. I was hoping that they were going to be able to get a few more rounds and get towards the double-digit territory, but Complexity had other ideas today. Their players were so on point.
Yeah, they really were. Just nothing really seemed to be able to stop them. Blameth, obviously, on that second map was way, way out of control. That's something that we don't get to see necessarily all the time, but yeah, very well done. I don't even really know what to make of it. It's great to see Complexity so much returned from the first time that we saw them here on the stream. But I wish that Sprout would have been, you know, on that same level. That would have been really something. Alan, I mean, there weren't even that many rounds to write down notes about, but what are your thoughts here?
I was too busy putting out the fire anders anyway to write down any notes for that one, of course. But
fantastic.
In general, for that first half, incredibly Complexity-sided. They won the third round on the eco, somehow managing to retake the B bomb site on pistols with no armor. And then from there, it was just kind of all going downhill for Sprout. Complexity firing on all cylinders, super dynamic CT side and Sprout. They kept trying different options, but as you said in the cast, nothing was working. They couldn't even get it to many late round scenarios in a decent position. So Complexity absolutely on fire the entire game. And I have to say, seeing Complexity today and yesterday, it's just been a pleasure actually to see Complexity in good form and more of what we know these players and the team in general is actually capable of, because obviously against FPX, it wasn't their best showing. So overall, a bit sad for Sprout, but very happy that Complexity eventually showed us what they're really capable of in these recent games.
Yeah, that's got to be considered just a good sign overall, because I kind of left that first day showing for them just really disheartened. I was thinking, man, there's something really wrong with this team. They look so out of energy, and it's nice to be wrong on that kind of thing, because that's never really a fun experience to have to sort of go through with any team. So I'm happy to see them end up in this position, and I definitely hope that they'll end up qualifying for the major as well. I think that they would be a cool team to have there. So don't know about that just yet, but so far so good at the very least. I don't know, Hawker, do you have any takeaways from this match? It was so quick, I feel like, but what did we learn here apart from scouts being the main weapon of Sprout?
Yeah, I guess that's a good start. I mean, Blameth was really solid, obviously, on Dust 2. I just love the way he played that 1v2 earlier, like never peeking the bomb. It's so cool to see just how composed he is in those clutch scenarios. And I guess it makes sense, because if you didn't catch Blameth as a player earlier in his career, he oftentimes played like this. On teams like Epsilon in the past, he had to be the focal point. So he'd sit in those back lines. He'd try and be that late round player. And you can see he's just so experienced at doing that. It came through a lot throughout this game. So I think it's cool to see that Blameth is still succeeding with that playstyle.
Yeah, in a big way. And we do often talk about sort of the fragging in-game leaders and all that stuff, and it's something like Blameth. It's so outrageous when he gets into this particular mode, right? It's very, very, very hard to deal with. And it's definitely fun to see, obviously, Config as well. But he's still got that style where he's just fighting people all over the map, even in moments where you think, well, is it really strictly speaking necessary? Doesn't really seem to matter. But yeah, the shots were landing. Alan, another good showing, I think, for JKS. I mean, we've got to add that to the list as well. I think that's maybe the most important thing right now. I feel like if they can fit JKS into this team and have him like consistently show up, even maybe not even at this level, but just at a good level, that's got to be it.
Yeah, it's certainly a good sign for them. I do think they've made a few role and spot changes I've seen in the recent few months. So maybe they introduced JKS, it didn't work, they had some hurdles they had to go over, but now it seems slowly he's being introduced better. Obviously, if we look at Flashpoint as an overall package for the team, it wasn't ideal for them. They probably were looking to get further in the main tournament, but at least by the end in these last few games, yes, we've seen a lot from JKS. I think, talking quickly about Blameth, it's not just that individually, he's an incredible player. It's also kind of the aspect of, because he's a very capable fragger, he can call around himself. He can say, I'm going to actually push in here myself, go for these duels. You guys go and do this. And that's kind of the real power you get from having a very capable in-game leader that can play a variety of spots and play spots that are under loads of pressure, where maybe on other teams, you just have your best fraggers playing these spots. So Blameth, a very valuable piece of this team. And for me, he is kind of is definitely the most important part of Complexity for me. Even though you might look on the scoreboard, Config, Poison have good results, I do think BlameF is the glue. He holds the team together, and he likes to call around himself. So BlameF, it's good to see more from him in these recent games than maybe we saw at least against FPX.
On that front, because I remember when they picked him up to begin with, when they had Rush, and then BlameF is some Danish guy who decided to move to Dallas to come do that. I remember thinking, this is sort of a little bit crazy almost, and maybe not the most obvious Danish talent at the time. I feel like to pick up as there's a lot of talent there, so. I just think it's been such an amazing move, but I've got to admire his dedication as well in terms of actually making that sacrifice and that commitment to doing that. I think it's really awesome. So, yeah, definitely, without a doubt. And I mean, in terms of the major, we don't know yet, of course, but this looks like the kind of team that can do some real serious damage, even to higher level opponents. So, what are the things that they need to work on though in the future? I mean, they certainly have the lineup. It feels like. What about the map pool though, Alan? How does that look?
I think certainly from what we've seen in Flashpoint, a little bit shaky. I think we spoke to Comfy yesterday. It was very kind of illuminating for him to talk about how they feel much more confident when they're playing on boot camp, when they're playing together. Maybe this is a team that suffered quite a lot from this move to fully online play, of course, during the pandemic. So I'm not sure there is, I don't think this is a team with one fix. I don't think it's a team that needs a roster move. I think it's, potentially go a bit back to the drawing board. Whatever was going wrong with FPX, maybe that's an area you want to look at. But in my eyes, they still have all the pieces. I do think BlameF can call it an incredible game. So I don't know, just sit tight, play some more tournaments, get some good practice in, and hopefully, in 2-3 months, Complexity can be back where we want them in, I don't know, the top 5 in the world and playing against, taking the real heavy hitters to the absolute limit in all the series. That'd be great to see again.
Well, we can maybe get some even deeper answers because we do have BlameF ready for us with a post-game interview, so really appreciate that. BlameF, let us know if you can, in fact, hear us on the line.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey.
Oh, I can hear
That's
myself.
fantastic. You hear yourself. Less ideal, but hopefully we can,
That's fine.
we can find a way to solve that. All right. Listen, we appreciate you spending some time with us here, and congratulations with the victory as well. It's been very cool, and we talked about this yesterday, the improvement from day 1 here at the B stream to day 2 and now 3. It's just been looking like a huge upward trajectory. So, I mean, overall, we were just discussing the map pool here for Complexity, because it seems to me like right now, and maybe the rest of us too, the lineup is working well. You could see JKS is working better in this system right now. It's hard to think of a change you would want to make on the roster. What about the map pool? What's your own sort of feeling about where that is right now and where you actually want it to be?
I think personally that we have some general issues that will sometimes go in and affect maps. It might not be a specific map we're not able to play, but because we have some general issues as a team of how we play and how we communicate with each other and how we play on the server, that might go in and make some of our maps worse. That's what I think, at least, because we have been in practice having some maps that we thought was really good, and then we go into officials and they're really shit, and then it's kind of we know they're not really bad because we just banged out a couple top teams on it, but what's happening when we go into officials? So I think it's more the mistakes that's happening and the stuff that we do wrong on the server is sometimes affecting our map pool for sure. But I don't think our map pool is that great right now, no, for sure. But I don't think it's because we don't know how to play the maps, because I know we have had great results on most maps in the past. But I think it's more a thing of us not working as good as together as a team right now.
Okay, that's a really interesting way to think about it. Hawker, you have some questions for BlameF here?
Yeah, sure. First one I just want to quickly ask is that 1v2 on Dust 2 where you were playing on short. You managed to win it just by never peeking the bomb. I love the way you just held that smoke on the second angle. But was there anything to that? Did you hear anything, or did you just think that they were just going to try and peek you? Because it feels like oftentimes people do tap the bomb in those sorts of situations.
I think just in that specific situation, there was a smoke on short that landed, so if I would have ran in to try to kill him, he would be able to see my feed before I would be able to see him. So my thought process was that if I'm peeking him, it's pretty much a 100% chance of him killing me. So, but if I don't peek him, then there's a chance he taps it. So I think it's just, if that smoke wouldn't have been there, I might have been trying to jiggle peek it or jump on the box to see some information. But I just knew that if I would just swing in a smoke that he had the advantage in, I wouldn't win the round no matter what. So I just took a chance and hoped that he would touch it. Yeah.
Nice. All right, and then second question I have is talking about JKS coming into this team. I think we're getting to the point now where there was a weird situation where for the first few months, you didn't get the chance to actually meet up with him. You didn't really get the chance to maybe get him into the team and get him as comfortable as you would want. And you're always going to have a bit of trouble when a player has been on another team for so long. He might have some sorts of ways of thinking about the game that you have to shift slightly. So do you think you're getting to the point where you're getting him fully comfortable now?
I mean, it's getting better, I would say. I think we had a really rough start in team with playing with 3 or 4 different stand-ins for such a long period of time, and we didn't have an AWPer, and we didn't meet each other. We just kept playing online with new stand-in and losing all the matches. I think we took a big hit on our confidence, in my opinion. I think that has honestly hurt us in the long run. But yeah, we're obviously not playing very great right now. I think he, as an individual player, has become a little bit more comfortable now because obviously he knows how people react and talk and what people like to do and all that kind of stuff. I don't think our problem stems from individuals not shooting people, because I know we have a lot of good individual people on the team and we can definitely play against other good individual teams. I think more we need to come together as a team and understand how to play better CS together. I think that's honestly the main thing, like knowing when to peak and when not to peak, and offer stuff for your teammates and making the right rotations, all those kind of stuff that might seem very basic. I think that's some of the things that we have a little bit hard time doing, maybe because we have a lot of these players that are very focused on the individual performance and all that. But that's my opinion. Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. Alan, we've got him in the hot seat. We're not gonna let him go. What do we want to know beyond this?
So Blame F, I was speaking to another pro player recently, and he was telling me that when Complexity made the swap from Obo to JKS, because they're quite different players, you had to make some role changes. And you personally, I was told on the T side, had to make some role changes, and potentially outside of just the poison situation, that might have been impacting Complexity as a team. So is this right? Did you have to make some role changes as a player when JKS came in?
I don't think it's like we don't have as much a strict. I think it's always like lurking you're talking about, but it's like we don't have as strict as a system where it's like we have this guy lurking. We don't have a system like that. It's like what makes sense, like for Dust, for example. If me and JKS both are like in a position to lurk, then the guy who's lurking is the guy without grenades, for example. So it makes the most sense. So it just depends on the situation. I don't think I had to make like massive sacrifices to my roles, because I honestly don't matter. It doesn't matter as much for me if I'm lurking or not on some of the maps, because usually how it works is that we have Rush as an entry, Config as a second entry, and then me and Justin is either one is lurking and the other guy is like third entry. So it's not like I feel like I'm like all of a sudden an entry fragger or anything like that just because JKS came into the team. I think it's more like before that I was lurking every single round, and now it might be like I'm going a little bit more with the pact, and then I can maybe try to like make some better calls from that sometimes and all that. But I don't think either of us have had to make massive sacrifices. I think CT side he pretty much had the same positions as he had in his old team, but then T side of course a little bit has changed because I'm like lurking some rounds and he's lurking some rounds, and it also differs from map to map.
Oh, really interesting. There's some valuable information to look forward to for the future matches. Blame It, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Any shout outs to any fans out there, Complexity watching, then now's the time.
Yeah, shout out to my mom. I love her, and I know she's like watching all my matches, and I'm